Welcome back to the Candidates 2024. It's round number 5. Games are getting more exciting. We get more decisive results. Players are trying to win every single game. Today we are going to analyze the gameplay between Alireza and Hikaru. It's round number 5. Alireza plays Hikaru. After the 4th round, they were tied for the last place, and now they of course look forward to kinda jump in the standings by securing a good result in this game. So Alireza plays interesting b4, bishop e7, queen b3, castle, a4. He advanced pawn on queen side, and it has a slight hatch from the opening, of course. Knight bd2, knight b8, Hikaru is rerouting his knight, d4 takes, a5, let's say a5, b takes a5, and knight c6 is coming back, and knight is going to take. So Alireza strikes in the center, knight h5. Look, Alireza is watching towards the skin. This knight on h5 is potentially can jump to f4, of course, but nothing crazy. p5, knight f4, g3, and d5, counterattacking this bishop, and if now takes, of course takes, bishop e6, bishop d5, then knight bd7, knight b6, knight c4, and black are super fine. Bishop f1, knight e6, bishop g2, c6, trying to break the pawn structure on the queen side. Castle, knight bd7, maybe try to go c5, bishop b2, knight b6, takes, bishop c3, c5, now rook b1, rook a6, protecting this time. So at this point I was like, Hikaru's pieces are a little bit passive. Like, alright, you have rook on a6, this knight on b6, I mean, you know, it looks very weird, and this bishop is not moving yet. So I would say black need to kinda be careful in order not to lose this game very fast. I mean, yeah, again, computer shows it's equal, even Hikaru has a slight edge, but from my perspective, like, these pieces are kinda weirdly located, and I think white have actually an edge. Like, if a human would look at this position, he would probably say that white might have some advantage in this position, queen e2. Though here, again, I know why computer gives some, you know, kind of small priority to black, because like this bishop kind of is better than this, and this bishop on c3 and g2. So yeah, it makes a little bit of sense. Bishop f1, trying to take this rook, and now the only move is knight c4, knight b3, bishop b6, and now this is very beautiful. Rook d1, queen a8, bishop g2, knight c5, takes, and after knight h4, I mean, what people suggested was knight d1 and play knight d3, knight f4, and that way pawn on d5 would be so weak, and it would be very hard for Hikaru to protect this pawn on d5, and from what I see, I don't think there are ways to protect it. So, but instead, Alireza went for knight h4, knight b6, bishop d4, takes, and here, I mean, it's clear that Alireza has an advantage. This pawn is blocked. This knight rook are like very bad located, and Alireza has clear plan of just going for checkmate. Rook a7, h3, rook c7, g4, queen c8, queen d2, rook c5, queen f4, rook e8, knight f5, and after bishop f5, g takes f5, look, e6, f6, those pawns from the 5th rank are so good, and it looks like Alireza is about to like smash defense on king side, but queen c7, and the point is f6 is kinda not possible, and e6, queen f4. So what was played was rook e1, knight d7. Attacking this pawn again. Now e6. Pam. Pam. And knight f6. And the point is, now Hikaru might easily play for a win. Rook d4, king f8, rook d2 takes, king f7, and he blocked this pawn on e6. And now Hikaru just completely fine. Rook c8, knight e4, knight c3, f4, d4, rook g2, g5. Though in press conference Hikaru he said that he expected f takes g5 and the game would have ended in a draw real quick. But after f5 he realized that Alireza is trying to push for a win, and after knight d5, rook e4, knight b4, it was like, you know, Hikaru was like, Alireza is doing too much here. And at this point, Hikaru sacrifices an exchange. And we got the following position, which is again absolute draw. Absolute draw, though Hikaru has 2 pawns for the rook. But the point is, if this pawn was, let's say, here or here, let's say here, I would say the position might be easily winning. But because, you know, this is a passed pawn and kind of pawn island, rook a8, you know, rook a5 might take the pawn, it's not that clear. And white can try to push for a win, but again, computer says it's draw, so if it's draw, it's draw. Knight f4, king f1, d3, king f2, knight h3, king f3, and again, looks like a draw, but after king d3, which is, I mean, computer says it's a mistake, but guys, it's an absolute blunder. Because the point is, after king, so what should have played was this, and let's say king f3, and d2 there is rook d8, and white will take the pawn and probably will make an easy draw. h5, pawn can be taken, but we can go king g2 and this pawn is probably gonna be lost. Or what black will have to do is just play knight c3, knight a4 and play rook against knight endgame. But that didn't happen, and king d3 was played, and after g3, unfortunately, this pawn is being promoted. And what happens is this, let's say rook g8, there is g1. There is also some line, which I guess is, okay, g3, rook f8, king e6, and the point is now this rook g8, still, pam. And the point is pam, pam. And Hikaru takes this rook on g2. So I have no idea. I mean, blundering like this in the end game, where you kind of pushed throughout the whole game and you blundered like this, that must be frustrating. And now Alireza is tied for the last place again. Unfortunately, though, you see the accuracy 94.7 against Hikaru's 97.0. So, and now after round 5, so we got one more decisive result in this round. We got Kukish Damaraja won against Nijat Abbasov. He is now a co-leader with Yan Nepomniachtchi with 3.5 points. So, I mean, the games will become more and more interesting. And tomorrow, I think we have a pretty good matchup. We have one of the most interesting matchups of this tournament so far. We will have one of the favorites, Yan Nepomniachtchi, facing another favorite of the tournament, Fabiano Caruana. That must be an exciting game. We had Fabiano versus Hikaru in the first round, now we have Yan against Fabi, and of course we'll wait till Yan plays Hikaru. That's a well-known players, and it's very interesting to see how they're going to compete against each other again. So let's see what happens tomorrow. I mean, already today when you're seeing this video. I'll see you in the next recap. Bye bye.